Let's go.
Yeah. Right. And we smoked it all again.
Okay, we are now live with the Poptimist podcast. And my guest today is
Ruben Bidez.
Welcome, Ruben. I appreciate you coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, man.
Ruben recently was listening to an episode with Wyatt, who actually has sent me another artist. He sent me yesterday. I had them over. It was the fuck was their? I can't even remember what their name is right now. But I've been seeing so many people to do this. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be here, drinking a cup of coffee with you.
It's the good stuff.
It's my third cup of coffee today, so we'll probably get some really good stuff.
Okay, good. Good. I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah,
we're gonna have a good episode today.
Cool.
So you've been working on an EP here recently?
Yeah, the EP's been it's been done for a few months now, and we are in the process of releasing it. So the release date is going to be in September, actually. So it's coming up. We haven't officially announced it yet. So, but very soon we're going to announce the actual date. With some shows, going to do a Nashville show and an Atlanta show.
Awesome. Atlanta's a great town.
Yeah, it's actually where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I grew up just south of Atlanta in Fayetteville, Georgia.
Okay.
Which is kind of the Delta Pilot capital of the world. Yeah. Just because Atlanta has that huge, airport hub. So all the pilots like to live in Fayetteville because it was basically like the closest suburb to the airport.
Yeah.
So yeah, I grew up there, went to college at Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and then actually ended up living in Atlanta for a while, just doing music, stuff like that, and got married, and then eventually it was kind of got to the point where I was like, all right, well, I've kind of done what I can do in Atlanta musically, and it was time to make the move up here. And despite being scared to death to move to Nashville, for whatever reason, I think I was just always afraid that I was going to end up being the guy at the corner, Broadway and 3rd playing for change. I think I came up here with my parents one time, and I saw all these musicians playing on the side of Broadway, and I was like, oh gosh, that's gonna be me if I move here. And I think I just was always afraid, and finally one day I was just like, you know what, it's now or never, let's do this. So
you can't wait until you're ready, because you're never gonna fucking be ready.
Yeah, totally.
And, there's 1,000 musicians who I know who are so fucking talented. I'm from Maine originally, and there's a ton of people that I know who are great all over the place. I've lived a bunch of different places in the U.S. And it's I got to plan out for it. It's you do have to plan out for it. But if you just keep planning, and you don't pull that fucking trigger and just do it and deal with whatever the consequences are, bad or good, because there's, I think, equal amounts.
Yeah.
Then you're never going to do it. It's you can't just wait around for you to finally be emotionally ready for a big life change like that.
No,
you're never going to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing, getting married even is the same thing. It's well, do you love this person? Yeah. Do you want to spend the rest of your life with them? Well, yeah. As soon as you start asking, do you have enough money saved up? Do you have a plan? Do you, is your job lined up? All these things start happening, and you're like, well, if I just waited for the, right circumstances, probably 9 times out of 10 you'll never get there.
Yeah, they'll never come.
Yeah, I think for me, I needed to have kind of a jolt of change. For me, I'd gotten really complacent in Atlanta. I'm very comfortable, and I've found, at least for me, I create better art when I'm a little bit uncomfortable or I'm a little stressed or pulled or whatever, because I think for me, music helps me kind of process through things. So if I have nothing to process because everything's just hunky-dory, then I'm not going to create art. And so I think the move here for me was like that jolt I needed to kind of, like something is happening in my life, and I'm meeting new people and I'm experiencing new experiences, and I think that's really kind of like
that's how you're right.
Started, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I think songs come into existence. I definitely agree with that. You have to make yourself uncomfortable constantly, and you have to be willing to know that you're not gonna know what's going the fuck on when you're like down in the weeds.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be this element of, oh shit, I have to do this or else. Like there has to. I don't know. I always benefit from when there's a pressure on me. It sucks at the time, but it also is what makes you grow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think as an artist, you always want to constantly be growing. Therefore, you always want to constantly be uncomfortable and trying new things and going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So when you were in Atlanta, did you find that you felt your songwriting was getting stale, or were you not playing? You were just kind of in the same scene with all the same people at the same shows, or what was that change like when you finally decided?
Yeah, I think what I had done is like in college I was in a band, and that was really fun, and kind of when I got out of school it kind of I don't know, we were all just kind of heading in different directions, so that kind of disbanded. And then I actually was like pretty involved in church music in Atlanta, and there's a lot of really big churches in Atlanta that have basically modern music. So not like organs and pianos and choirs. It was like drums, bass, guitar. That kind of a thing.
Vocal arrangements.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
I know what you mean.
So I was doing that a lot, and then I had my music on the side as well, and like I put out some music that was for the church. I even put out a record that was like basically like a concept album of basically the common beliefs between like the Christian church and Muslims, like Islam.
Yeah.
And so that was like a full length record I did, and I kind of got to this point where I was like, the church needs to realize, and like the world needs to realize that like we're not so different, and that like our focusing on our differences is never going to like move us forward. But if we find like what we agree on and like what our like core values are, that we can actually develop like a lasting relationship with someone that on the surface seems very different than us.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a whole nother story, but
we all bleed the same blood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Coming back to the humanity of things, and I don't know, I feel like it's just as relevant today than whenever I did it 3 years ago, I guess. And so I was I was pretty involved with the church music stuff, and the problem that I found was I was just doing a lot of other people's music, and I really wasn't in a environment that was like encouraging my art like necessarily. I don't want to say that was across the board, but 99 out of 100 songs I would perform each month were written by somebody else, and maybe one of those songs were one that I wrote. And so for me as a creative, that's not the most creative environment to be in.
Yeah, not expressive.
Yeah, and so I don't know, it kind of just came to a point where I was like, okay, I know I have a good job here, I know I'm technically doing music for a living, but I kind of just got to this point where I was like, I just needed something new. I need to break out of this rut. I was just in a musical rut.
Yeah.
And before I made the move, I started creating my own music, and I actually like played a couple shows, and I was like, okay, this feels great. And the thing that really hit me, that kind of was like that confirmation, was like there'd be Sunday morning services. Maybe I play like 3 or 4 songs that service, and I would come off the stage or whatever, and I would be like exhausted just from the energy I was exerting and this like I don't even know exactly why I was so worn out, but I played a show of my own music at the Georgia Theater in Athens, Georgia, and I played maybe like 10 songs of my own music, and I walked off stage and I was like, I feel amazing. Like, I had energy, like my voice wasn't completely destroyed, worn out from singing. And what I realized, I was like, I'm singing my music, like that.
So it's what you wrote,
It's what I wrote.
in your vocal range.
Yeah, that definitely had part to do with it.
Yeah.
I think also like I really believed in what I was singing. Not that I didn't believe in the songs I was singing for the church, but they didn't come from my heart.
Yeah.
Like you know, and so for me, that was kind of this confirmation that it's like, you need to be doing your songs. You know, and I'll cover a song here and there that really speaks to me, but for the most part, like, I found that that's what's been very confirming and, like, emotionally just, like, very charging. Like, it just, I feel very alive and energized, and so that was kind of the confirmation for me that I was like, all right, let's go do
Back
this.
on the path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's like you have to go off on those little side trails that might seem like the safer route, and then you realize, I'm going to cut across the woods right here. I know there's a path on the other side of these woods.
Yeah.
Even though it's not as stable as this one, but I'd rather be walking up that one.
Yeah, and it comes back to, like, does comfortability actually breed creativity? And it doesn't.
No. There's so many bands, I think, that they release like an amazing fucking record. They release amazing 2 or 3 records, and then all of a sudden, you know, they have houses, they have spouses, they have
houses and spouses.
Yeah, they have all this shit now, and it gets back to like lifestyle maintenance. So they're going and they're putting out these same records over and over again because the record label like, hey, this is what sells. Keep doing this.
Yeah,
and it stifles creativity.
Yeah, and you also have the whole notion of guys have their whole lives to write their first record.
Yeah.
And then now they're under this, like, you know, you have money now, and you know, and that's not always the case.
Yeah.
I mean, Petty even talked about it, you know, like how he just had to keep writing. Like, even though his band was kind of off doing whatever they wanted to do, he was like, I had to keep writing, and like, if I'm gonna, you know, basically, and that's the one thing is like with Petty, like, you know, his first record is you know, kind of fizzled as far as like everybody, you know, didn't like go crazy over it. There's that Damn the Torpedoes, that second album that like blew up. But the thing was, is he was still able to continue to create great stuff after that. And I think it's just because he didn't allow himself to get complacent and like get too comfortable, and like he knew that he had to keep plugging at it and keep working.
What hits were off of Damn the Torpedoes?
Oh geez, so many. That would be, well, let's just look at the track listing. Like, I don't know why I can't think of which ones are on there. I mean, I know the record. It's like Don't Do Me Like That, I know.
Oh, okay,
Here we go. Let's look at this track listing. Refugee.
Okay.
Here Comes My Girl. Even the Losers. I mean, so just there, I mean, it was 9 tracks, and like 4 or 5 of those are still like
on the radio today.
Yeah, you turn on hippie radio, which I listen to a lot here in town. There's a station called Hippie Radio, and they just they always seem to be playing something that I do want to actually listen to.
Petty's great. I saw you play at Mercy Lounge with Wyatt. You guys did a Petty song, a Springsteen song, and then one of your songs.
And you
guys sounded great.
Thanks, man. We that was cool. We do those shows every once in a while. Our friend Joseph Copeland, Joe Co shows is what he goes by. He puts those on, and we've done 3 of them now. 2 of them were Beatles versus Rolling Stones.
That's cool.
Yeah, and those were cool shows. And then he did the Springsteen versus Petty, which actually, it's really funny. I think I was driving, I can't remember where we were coming back from, but I was with a friend and I was riding along and I was like, oh man, you know what would be awesome is a Petty versus Springsteen show.
Yeah.
And I texted him, Joseph Copeland, and I was like, dude, we got to do a Petty versus Springsteen show. And he's like, it's already scheduled for July whatever, do you want to do it? I was like, oh yeah, duh, yeah. And that was good. We did, Springsteen song we did was, which one was it? I know the Petty tune, it was the Honeybee off of the Wildflowers record. And that one that was just one of those, like, one of Petty's like most rockin' tunes.
Yeah.
If you look back, the one time that David Grohl played drums with the Heartbreakers, they play Honeybee.
Oh, really?
Saturday
That
Night.
makes sense. Yeah.
I think it's Saturday Night Live.
Of course.
And the video of that is awesome because David is just like grinning ear to ear. Like you can tell he's just so like pumped and
Yeah.
And
he's a great fucking drummer.
Yeah, he is, and he's got his cymbals way up high, and like, you know, definitely the most like rockin' drummer that Petty ever had play with him, and but again, you know, this kind of circles back. Like David was faced with that decision. He's like, "Do you want to play drums for the Heartbreakers? This like awesome gig, you know, going to be fairly comfortable because it's already really established." Or do you try to do a solo project that you've never ever done before? You've only been a drummer, and do you want to do this Foo Fighters thing?
Mm-hmm.
And how he had to basically like close the door on being a heartbreaker.
I didn't know about that.
Oh,
I didn't know it was like he was kind of at that point.
Yeah, if you,
I think the Foo Fighters worked out for him though.
Yeah, I think it was a good call for him, and you know, I think he had just started doing some demos of Foo Fighters stuff right around that time, and I want to say that the drummer job was kind of offered to him, and he ended up kind of just like either saying no, or I think he said that was like the hardest phone call, was basically calling Tom and being like, I can't do this, I have this other little project I'm working on. So yeah, it was a good call for him, and you know, not taking the comfortable.
You have to take risk.
Yeah.
Like there's so many artists today. I feel like are just. It's not even that they're bad. They're good. They're just unwilling to take a risk. It's like again, they kind of get a little bit of success, and they're like, well, I can lose it if I get risky here.
Mm-hmm.
Like people could not like this and listen to this. I can be irrelevant again.
Yeah.
I go back to doing fucking dishes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I wish I could like even sit here and act like I know what that's like, but you have to evolve. Like I feel like any great artists that have like lasted even 20 years, like their music evolved with them. Like I mean, like they didn't just create the same record over and over and over and over. And you're gonna face backlash from your fans or your critics or even like your family for that matter. Like, well, I liked your earlier stuff. It's like, well, yeah, but
that's not who I am anymore.
It's like I gotta grow, and you know, people latch on to certain periods of time and certain records, and you know. But the thing is like, even if you know, say the first record's great, say your second record, people don't like it, but you still feel good about what you did. Mm-hmm. Like you're basically just setting up for the third record then for those people that liked your first one. Like it's almost like you have to have the peaks and the valleys.
That kind of reminds me of the Killers a little bit. Are you a fan of them at all?
Yeah, definitely.
So their first record, Hot Fuss, it was big, you know, everybody loved it. They were like, they loved the sound. Then they did Sam's Town, which is personally my favorite record of theirs. Mm-hmm. which is the total fucking opposite of Hot Fuss.
Yeah.
Like, in subject matter and style, and I mean, it's still very much a Killers record.
Yeah.
It's their DNA, but it's totally different than their last one. Then Day and Age comes out, and that's the one that has Human on it, and Spaceman, so it's that familiar sound of the first record, but through the experiences, of the band that had that second record.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I always think that's kind of interesting, the way that artists can kind of grow and change, and now Sam Sound is coming up on its 10th anniversary.
That's crazy.
It is fucking crazy, because that came out when I was a freshman in high school, and that record now, they're actually playing shows at like the Sam Sound Casino, and they're reissuing the album, and I think it's funny, now everybody's very excited for it, but at the time I was, there's been a bunch of people who have been posting the old reviews of when Sam's Town first came out, and it was like panned pretty much across the board. Yeah. Even though it has some of their best songs on it. Yeah,
that's really funny.
Yeah.
I believe it or not, my favorite record is actually the Brandon Flowers solo album, the Flamingo. That's like my favorite.
That's a great fucking album too.
I love that record, and I can listen to it front to back.
I love Jilted Lovers and Broken Hearts.
That's a great one. Yeah.
That's a great song.
Playing with Fire, I love that, and my wife loves that record too. She actually like kind of turned me on to it, and I was like, yep, I'm in. I love this.
I love that song On the Floor. It's fucking spiritual.
Oh yeah, big time.
It's like him being like Johnny Cash in a way. Reflective upon everything. There's actually a version of that's a B-side. That is kind of more of like a country feel to it. And that record had a lot of great B-sides. There's one, The Clock Was A-Tickin', which is a country song. It's fucking great. Such great lyrics and storytelling.
Yeah, and he has a cool like ability to bring like spirituality into his songs and stuff, and in a very relatable, but also very like kind of timeless, kind of that Johnny Cash kind of spirituality in his music, and I love that too. It's, you know, he definitely has a sense of there's something more, and you know, and it's inspiring. So, I really dig that record a lot.
Did you hear his second solo album, The Desired Effect?
Yeah, my wife bought that the day it came out, and there's definitely some great songs on it. For me, it was sonically not as I think it's great, but it didn't. I just didn't latch onto it like I did Flamingo. And it could have just been the time of my life where, you know, whatever was going on, that Flamingo was just like perfect for me at that time. And but yeah, I mean, he definitely like, and again, there he goes, not doing the same record again.
Yeah.
He did something completely different. I mean, he's got like some like tropical vibes on it, and like marimbas and stuff like that.
I think a big part of it was the producer that he was working with, kind of pushing him and making him try some new shit. It was Ariel Sethy. Do you know who he is? He's worked with Haim, the girl band.
I love Haim. Yeah.
So he did their record, and he's worked with like Snoop Dogg and Justin Bieber and all these people. Yeah. So Brandon Flowers, he's working with like this big pop producer. Right. But I feel like Ariel, he has a really good ear, and a lot of those sounds on that record are very fresh. He also produced Vampire Weekend's fucking record, Modern Vampires of the City, which I absolutely love that album. Yeah. Like, sonically, I mean, the songwriting is good. Yeah. But sonically, oh man, it was just, it was another refresher. Yeah. Like a band, he almost has this way of revitalizing an artist, you know, when they need some kind of inspiration or something like that, he comes through and makes them just do something entirely new. Yeah. Like, his drum sound is fucking incredible. Yeah. I read that what he does is he like records it through like a tape machine and then speeds it up. I don't know what he does, but his drums just pop. Yeah. In a way that not a lot of modern records do with acoustic drums. Yeah. You know? Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So he does something weird with tape machines. That make it cool as fuck. That's cool. I know that Jakir King was the one, he produced the Flamingo record, and Jakir's just got he's got a great like classic producer kind of thing. He did I think he's done like most of Norah Jones's records, and but
But yeah, that Haim record, which I hope they're gonna put some more music out soon.
They've been working on it from what I gather, and I think Ariel's been working with them again.
Okay, cool.
So I've seen posts online here and there just about them working on stuff. I think they've been doing some festival dates too.
Yeah, I'd love to see them live. I guess I don't even remember how I came across that one, but then I saw their Saturday Night Live performance and I was like, oh man, whoa.
Yeah,
that, like,
they can fucking play.
Yeah, I mean, like...
In an era of bands where not a lot of people have like, musical ability, they have a strong fucking musical ability.
Yeah.
It seems like they have like a background in playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't hurt when you have three sisters who can sing within, like, I think there's something that sounds so right about it.
Yeah.
Just, I guess it's genetically, or something. It's just like they're all in the same wavelength.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely this genetics for sure. I mean, those family bands, it's crazy, the sounds that they can create. It's almost like there's a bunch of voices, but they all sound kind of like one at the same time.
Yeah.
And it probably just kind of magnifies whatever is that characteristic of that family.
Yeah.
It's like times 3 or 4 or whatever. But yeah, those girls are awesome. I really liked that their first record.
Yeah.
I'm interested to, find out what they do. My prediction is it's gonna be some like garage band. Like,
that would be pretty badass.
And it's gonna be some garage elements.
Like rebelling against their first record.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I like that. I like that when an artist does that. I mean, it's fresh, and I think that they're definitely a band who has staying power. I think they can be around for a while and continue to grow and develop. They actually did a remix of a Tame Impala song, "'Cause I'm a Man." Did you hear that?
I love that track.
Yeah. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I like, as much as I love that Tame Impala record, I mean, "'Cause I'm a Man" is my favorite song on the Tame Impala record, and then you ask Haim, or then Haim covers it, and I was like, well, game over.
Yeah, there's something just right about it.
Yeah. Golly. And Rihanna put one of those songs on her.
Yeah, she did New Person, Same Mistakes, which is a great fucking
It sounds
song.
awesome. It sounds like
a hip hop. Yeah.
She did. That was great. I mean, it may just be rumor, but I heard that like really they didn't change anything on the track.
It didn't sound like it. It sounded like she just sang over it.
Yeah. Which I mean, I guess their vocal range is probably about the same.
Yeah.
That dude sings pretty freaking high, and
that's a great fucking album. I'm excited. Again, another artist that constantly changes. I'm excited for whatever Kevin Parker does next because it's going to be different than the last thing.
Yeah.
And I saw some stuff on Instagram of him in the studio with Mark Ronson and Lady Gaga.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So who knows? Like he's just gonna constantly be growing.
Well, I think everybody wants to write with him now.
Yeah.
And so that's cool that he's getting in with some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with Gaga, but she's, I don't know, it was kind of cool seeing her kind of like shed a bit of the, theatrics is the wrong word, but shed some of her... the persona thing that she was putting on, and which I can't imagine, like, I imagine that's very tiring, always having to be somebody else. I don't know, I think it's fun, but in this day and age, with just the constant... But basically what I would say is, like, if she was doing that in 1960, 1970, like, she would have plenty of privacy to be herself.
Yeah.
And then when the press came for your show,
it was
you
like
put it on.
Stardust.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have this, like, time to be yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas today, it's constant.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. There's always something, more content, more press, blah, 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 blah. And I could see how it'd be really tiring for someone like her to, like, always have to be on like that. I
think that's probably why she was working with Mark Ronson and Kevin Parker, is like two people who kind of have street cred in the indie world and who are known for being
Yeah.
not like these huge pop artists. I mean, Mark Ronson kind of now because he did Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
But they're more known for like their production and their songwriting.
Uptown Funk is just like, it's a great song. Like, it's not even like, it flew in the face of every other pop trend at that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's like, it was such a huge hit. And I mean, like, it immediately is into every wedding band's rotation.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it'll probably, I think that one has some staying power.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if that one just like slowly slips into, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire 70s kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like, and people will.
Yeah,
people 30 years from now would listen to it and be like, "Wait, that wasn't from the 70s."
Yeah,
it's like, no, that was like 2015, 2014.
Did you listen to that record Uptown Special that Ronson put out with that one on there?
No.
It's a great fucking record. Uptown Funk is different than pretty much the entire record. Uptown Special, I think, is a lot more dark, like a lot more noir kind of, almost. Kevin Parker is actually on that album. He's on it for 3 songs. I think he plays drums on a couple other ones that he's not like singing and writing on. And he has a couple other guests. Jeff Basker was the co-producer on that entire record, who worked with like Kanye West and a bunch of other huge hip-hop stars. So the album itself, I think it was, in my opinion, the best album of the year, close to Currents. I thought Currents was such a great record, but Mark Ronson, man, he's one of my all-time heroes.
Yeah.
All the musicians he plays with are just fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a good record. You should check it out.
Seems like he's putting himself around the right folks, or the right folks are coming around him. But yeah, I mean it's kind of funny, this like uptick in like the producer artist kind of thing. Like I don't know when it's ever been like that before, where it's like, I mean, that Uptown Funk is Mark featuring Bruno.
Yeah.
Like, even though most people would listen to that song and be like, "Oh, that's a Bruno Mars song," or like, Mark who? Like, it's Bruno Mars. Like, and but he's had this ability to, like, you know, get name recognition as a producer, which is really cool, and it's probably because he's putting his name on it.
Yeah.
Like, this is my record, and I'm bringing in people to sing on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So good for him.
Doesn't hurt when you produce Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, that helps.
He's great. I think it's kind of interesting though that you mentioned that, because I think now it is kind of like the producer artist is almost a necessity of doing music today. In a way, if you want to be a producer, you kind of also have to be an artist and be putting out records. Yeah. The same thing with like bands in a way. Like there's a lot of 2-person bands now. But one half of those 2-person bands, there's usually a producer artist in it. Yeah. Like eventually Jack White became that. Yeah. You know, he went solo, but he like that's his thing. He's like a producer artist. Yeah. Or Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys. But dude, his fucking resume, if you look at it, he's produced like, I don't know, like 40 fucking records in the past 10 years. Yeah. He's busy. Always working. And I love that. I love seeing an artist who's like, okay, so I'm able to do this now. I'm not going to fucking stop. Keep working, keep working, keep working. Yeah, yeah. Putting the hours, putting the time. Yeah.
Buddy of mine, Butch Walker, is that quintessential producer and artist. And I think it keeps him fresh, too, because, you know, like, I mean, he does some huge pop records, but then, like, he almost always finds time, like, every year, every 2 years, put out a record of his own stuff. And it's exciting kind of watching him evolve, because I mean, I was a fan of his.
The Marvelous Three.
Yeah, the Marvelous Three. They're all. I've gotten to know all of them, which is really cool. And actually, 2 of the guys would play in Atlanta, like churches that I was like playing at. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. One time I got to play with Jace and Slug, so that was really cool. But Butch is he's been really really nice to me since moving to Nashville. He kind of splits time between LA and Nashville, and both
He's
being
a talented writer.
so talented, and we're both kind of from the same area, both being from Georgia. So we kind of get each other at that level, which is fun. But yeah, it's cool seeing him kind of evolve. Of course, I can look back 10 plus years on him and kind of see what he's done and
Work.
Yeah, exactly. And
he has a lot of great credits. Like he worked on that first Katy Perry record, I think. One of the Boys.
Yeah, he did.
That fucking song, One of the Boys. I don't think she's really done anything as great as that, but it makes sense because Butch I feel like his songwriting definitely shined through, like on that song, One of the Boys.
Yeah, definitely.
And there was a couple other great ones on there where it's just like power pop. Yeah. It was like pure power pop, and it sounds so fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think, that is my favorite record of Katie's.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like, I mean, she evolved, and like honestly, she kind of like, she followed some trends, but she also kind of like set some as well. And I mean, she's been on the right path for sure. Like, I don't, as much as we'd like to hear another One of the Boys records, like, she knew where she needed to go, and she went.
You got to keep bankrolling.
Well, and I mean, she has to stay ahead of everybody else. Like,
have you heard her new song yet?
Mm-mm.
I honestly, I'm gonna be real, I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
It's a song called Rise. It's supposed to be like this the Olympic anthem.
Oh, well, I feel like sometimes those songs kind of, they're really hard to make those great songs. Like, I can't name another Olympic song ever, or like the World Cup song, or the World Series song. Like, those songs, like, I mean, maybe she'll, she has the popularity and everything to make one of those songs great, but I think those kind of hamstring you sometimes. Yeah. Well, it has
so
to
in
be,
the box.
Yeah, it has to be
anthemic.
Yeah, it has to be anthemic and sports and fireballs and Brazil and all that stuff. So I wouldn't hold it against her.
No.
Because you just gotta, you gotta go with it. It's funny. Like, I had a buddy. He's actually his name's Mark Sibilia, and he's gotten. He got some nice press because he got asked by Jeep to record "This Land Is Your Land" for the Super Bowl.
Holy shit!
So like it's him singing "This Land Is Your Land" with my friend Molly Parton. They're both singing on it, and it was like the Super Bowl Jeep ad that was like a minute long. Yeah, and it's just him singing with an acoustic guitar, and it's not his song by any means, but like. The exposure was awesome for him. So, like, I don't think I would turn down if somebody said, "Hey, do you want to do the Olympic song?" I'd be like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." Can
I fucking turn it down? No, absolutely not. No. They'll probably pay my rent for the entire year.
Yeah. It's funny when you hear like stuff that people have turned down because they just don't feel like as an artist they can like live with themselves.
It's such an interesting thing to think. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
I think it's a case by case scenario, and I think later on in your career it's probably easier to say no to stuff than early on because you're just like you're staring at either a lot of zeros or a lot of fame. It's like how do you? Because I mean, I've come to terms with the fact that like most artists, including myself, like we do what we do to capture people's attention and like to hold people's attention and like for them to listen to what you're saying and stuff like that. So whenever you're faced with an opportunity to get more listeners or to get more platform, it's hard to say no, and you kind of have to be like, well, artistic integrity and all of that, and like, I don't know, I guess case by case scenario, but it's got to be hard to say no when there's a position, an opportunity like that comes along. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to even think of who I know I've seen it where it's just like, oh man, they really sold out or or whatever. And I mean, if it's a pop artist, like I think as a pop artist, there's no selling out. Like you can't there's no, oh, that was too far. Like
that's the goal, is to go too far. Yeah.
Pop means popular.
Yeah.
You need to be doing everything you can to get as popular as possible. If you decide to be into pop music, like there's no, you can't sell out too much. Like, but if you're this like alternative, whatever, like deep singer-songwriter, like I have friends that are like incredible singer-songwriters that are like so like dark, mysterious, whatever. And if they were suddenly like the face of Pepsi, I'd be like, what happened? Like, you know, what your message of anti this, anti that establishment, blah, 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 blah. Like, what happened? You're now the face of Pepsi.
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a second. What if you get into that position and you do have that message, and then you're getting like a bunch of people are discovering you because of that?
Yeah, I mean, if you could somehow work it both ways where you didn't lose your credibility, then that would be perfect. But I mean, I don't really know too many things that I probably I would turn down. I mean, I'm just like,
the goal is to sell out. I want to fucking sell out. Absolutely.
I'll sell out. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think as I continue to, you know, hopefully continue to grow as a writer and stuff, that I'm just like, you know, writing more and more meaningful music, and you know, and I kind of feel that happening with like my, you know, just what I'm writing right now for whenever the next record is. You know, I kind of like sense a shift in just like what I want to write about and what is just what I feel compelled to write about. So yeah, now's the time to sell out. Maybe next record might be a little harder to sell out.
Well, what I've kind of noticed about the tunes that I listened to that you sent me is there's this very romantic sense to all of your music, I would say. Saying like, both in like a romantic relationship sense and also like this renaissance, like this romanticism I feel like has kind of disappeared in a lot of music. Which is refreshing to hear. Like the production and the songwriting that you sent me, it reminded me of fall. It reminded me of the seasons changing. Like I didn't hear all the leaves on the ground.
Well, that's good that we're waiting till September to release it. Then
I think it's the perfect time to release it. Like that's exactly what I was listening to. I was like, man, this reminds me. I grew up in New England, and I was like, this reminds me of fall in New England.
Awesome. Yeah,
it definitely has a vibe to it. It's very, very, very colorful.
Cool. That's great. You get being from New England, you actually get like fall and spring and summer. And winter. You get all of the seasons.
It's mostly winter.
It's mostly winter. And I had that same feeling too. Like even though we recorded it in January this year, and we were like looking at dates, and like I kept getting so frustrated because we kept pushing it back because things weren't ready yet and blah blah blah. But now that it's like gonna come out in the fall, I was like, all along I was like, this is a fall record. Like I mean, it just feels that way. It's like, I mean, it was recorded in winter. And it had been written, that year before, and I think a couple, maybe even the year before that. But all the songs are pretty fresh. I mean, like I'm not coming in with this song I wrote when I was 18 years old. Like, these are all in the past, like, 2 years. Even one of them was, like, written while I was in the studio. Like, that's how fresh these are. And so, there's definitely, like, this romanticism to it. And I think that was just kind of, I write from an observation kind of standpoint, and also I told you I've, like, kind of processed through writing. And so a lot of this was written kind of like with a sense of like, what's the void in today's music, and like how can I best fill it? And for me, there was just a lack of like humanity and vulnerability and tenderness in today's music.
Yeah, I think you definitely nailed it with what you've done.
Yeah, and
it
so
comes across.
Cool. And I mean, honestly, it wasn't. I in hindsight, I'm like, well, I was feeling this void. Like, I don't think I really knew I was doing that at the time, but I kind of I feel sometimes like the songwriter is kind of like the modern day biblical prophet. Yeah. He's like the guy that's like, y'all are all doing this, like, why are you doing this? Come do this. This is better. Mm-hmm. And a lot of time they get killed.
Yeah, that's what the artist is. It's like observing whatever is going around.
Yeah.
Or what's missing.
Right.
Kind of documenting that.
Yeah.
And I think Chuck Palahniuk, he has this great quote. The writer Chuck Palahniuk? He did Fight Club.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Yeah.
Well, he has this great quote that was basically like, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's shoot the films, paint the art, make the music, direct the films.
Mm-hmm.
Of the stuff that you want to see, because if you can control your culture, you can change the world around you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's very true. You gotta demand the world you want to live in through your art.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's I think there's times for these huge songs like We Are the World, like those kind of songs, or when U2 was just killing it. They just had all these great anthem songs that kind of brought the whole world together. And I think right now we're so caught up in the macro of everything that's going on with the world and this and that and elections and all this stuff that we've failed to focus on the individual and myself and my family and it's just I think so this record is very introspective is the wrong word, but micro, your heart, my heart, our love, our life,
what's going on with us,
our relationship, because I really think that the only way to make the world healthy is if we're healthy,
as first. Individuals,
and
we're one big organism.
Exactly.
Kind of going back to what you were saying earlier about, we're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
And in order to realize that we're all the same, I feel like you kind of have to look inward, and then you start realizing, well, if I'm feeling this way, there are other people feeling this way, and they might be doing bad shit because of it, or they might be doing good shit because of it.
Yeah, totally. And so I kind of just wanted to and it's just where I was too. I was dealing with internal things, and that's where I was. And so my hope is that people can kind of glean from this as well, from my experiences and how I wrote these songs, that maybe they'll start feeling human again and start being oh, I need to love my husband, or I need to love my wife, or my children, whatever it is, or I need to call my dad, I need to send my mom flowers, just things like that are kind of because we can just get so overwhelmed by the world and the needs and this is going on, and there's certain people that are called to handle that stuff and to work on that stuff, but you have to start the two or three around you, and even before that, it's
you have to kind of tune it all out and kind of look inward, to really understand what's going on out there.
Before you can ever process this huge, gigantic issue.
It's the modern, I wouldn't want to say modern disease, but it's the modern symptom. There's this cultural and spiritual sickness that we're experiencing right now because we haven't been focusing on ourselves and what our true self is trying to tell us. And I think it's important to kind of unplug for a little while and to meditate or to go for a walk where no one can contact you and you're just alone with your thoughts.
Because you're constantly being told what to be concerned about.
Yes, that's a great way to describe it.
And what to think about.
The mind hive.
You're plugged in constantly to everything else, and I think a lot of just what these songs were written about was kind of just in a response to like this like constant jumble going on. So, and then the stuff I'm working on now, I think is even more flies in the face of just the cultural, I don't even know, it's a trend, I guess, cultural trends of, this is what you think about, this is what you should be concerned about, this is the only side of the argument that you really need to know about. You know, like
the polarization
of
the world and of especially American culture.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing a lot of that right now with the election, is where you have to be this or that. You can't be, well, what if I'm neither of those things? And I think a lot of people kind of in their 20s and in their 30s are starting to wake up and be like, well, that's not our American dream. That's not what we want.
Right, yeah. And it's kind of like, why do I have to choose this one or that one? Like, you know, I think that we're going to see that more this year than ever. I'm not saying this completely out of the question for a third party to be elected this election.
That's very true, yeah.
But I will say that this will probably be the record high voting for a third party.
I agree with that.
Just because of maybe it is it's like people are fed up regardless of
I would agree with that,
of age group. Like I think across the board you're finding a lot of people that are like, I'm sick and tired of like just accepting what you say.
The status quo.
Yeah, the status quo. And I think that's why you saw such a huge like uptick for Bernie Sanders, and just because he was saying like it was just a refreshing kind of side of the argument, and like guys like Gary Johnson are kind of like in that same kind of boat. It's kind of like, why are we just going to continue down this road, like
where it doesn't benefit the average American person at all.
Exactly. And so yeah, I have a hard time kind of like I try not to think about it too much, because then I just get my day is ruined because I start thinking too much about it. So, but you know, I'd say like 1, you don't have to just accept what is out there. Like 2, inform yourself to the best of your abilities, and then vote for what you believe in. Like what do you value? Vote for that. Like, because somebody the other day posted like it was a picture of like Abraham Lincoln, and it was like, you know, they didn't waste their third party vote, like, and it was like Abe Lincoln was like the third party and he won, you know, as a third party candidate, which is kind of funny. So anyway, I'm not saying who anybody should vote for, but just be informed, and like, you know, you get to choose. And again, this comes down to like, you get one vote for yourself. Don't be so concerned about how everybody else is voting.
Totally.
And again, it comes back to like personally, take a second, think about what you care about. And vote that way.
Well, I think it's what's interesting about these past 2 years is there's very much, and more, I would even say just this year, there's been this very anti-establishment. Like I would say that's why Trump is popular, that's why Bernie Sanders is popular, that's why Gary Johnson are popular, and we're hearing all their names constantly, is because they're all kind of like, they have these fringe beliefs, and I think good and bad. Like obviously Trump being on one end of the spectrum, and then like Bernie Sanders and Gary Johnson being on the other. They've risen because of people, not only they like them, but they like the idea of them too. We're not wanting what has been given to us. We just don't believe it anymore.
Exactly.
I think the next election, I think this is the last election where we're really going to see like Republican versus
two-party
Democrat.
system.
I fully believe that the next time around we're going to see a lot more people running third party, which I think is great.
I think it's great too, because I feel like that's actually like more American.
Totally.
Like,
you mean a non-oligarchy, actual democracy?
Exactly.
Good concept.
Like, it's where, it's like America, where you can wear a red shirt or a blue shirt or a green shirt or a black shirt or a white shirt.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's more American to like give people more options. Because we're about freedom. Like, it's like, and only getting to choose between two things is kind of not really freedom at all. It's like, it's not even multiple choice.
Yeah.
It's true or false.
And they're both false. I think it's a great thing. I mean, it's so stressful. Like you were kind of saying, it can ruin your day if you really let it in and get to you.
Yeah.
But you have to learn to kind of block that out and keep going.
Yeah. I think for people that are very impressionable, I think you need to really guard yourself, because a lot of the people that are kind of like writing the stuff on Facebook or articles or whatever, they love that.
Yeah.
They love the argument and the expose and all this kind of thing.
The Messiah complex.
Well, maybe even that. Like,
that America seems to have for like having someone be our dad.
Yeah, and like some people just like love it, and it's fulfilling for them. There's people like me that like I will like get so like upset or like, and I'm just like, man, I'm really upset about this. Like, oh, I don't need to really be like I don't need to let myself get upset every day. Yeah. Maybe like once a week. It's okay.
I think it's healthy to feel that little bit of doubt and wonder what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's good to be exposed to it, but like, you don't need to let the bullies out there like that's the great thing about the internet is like you can actually shut it off. Like you don't actually have it, like, even though we feel like we're constantly connected to it, you don't have to be. Yeah. I asked the question the other day, I was like, when was the last time you actually like turned your phone off? Not airplane mode, not silent mode, not even to like update your iOS. Like, when was the last time you like turned it off? Yeah.
Walked away from it.
And like, even myself, I was like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know when that was, but that sounds nice, Yeah.
It's like technology, I think, getting into the more spiritual side of it, it's like we created this thing. It's like, and I think eventually we're gonna merge with it and become one and the same, or we're gonna really learn how to use it as a tool. Yeah. Or both. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it Shel Silverstein that wrote Where the Sidewalk Ends and like all these like children's like poems and stuff like that. Someone posted like one of those like a little cartoon with the poem, and it was like a young girl with her robot, and she was like asking her robot to like make me a sandwich, and the robot was like, why don't you make me a sandwich? Well, I'm going to pull it up so we can embrace this together, because I was like, and this was written a while back. Here we go. Hang tight with me, because this is going to be worth it.
Well, while you're searching for that, have you ever read Aldous Huxley, Brave New World? Mm-mm. That's a good one. You should check that out. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's about basically this society that it's just completely dystopian. Like, everybody's disconnected from each other. Interesting. There's this class system that's in place. And I'm not doing it justice in explaining it, but it's worth checking out. Like, if you like science fiction, it's good.
What was the author's name again?
Aldous Huxley.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is it's called My Robot. I told my robot to do my bidding. He yawned and said, "You must be kidding." I told my robot to cook me a stew. He said, "I got better things to do." I told my robot to sweep my shack. He said, "You want me to strain my back?" I told my robot to answer the phone. He said, "I must make some calls of my own." I told my robot to brew me some tea. He said, "Why don't you make tea for me?" I told my robot to boil me an egg. He said, "First, let me hear you beg." I told my robot, "There's a song you can play me." He said, "How much are you going to pay me?" So I sold that robot because I never knew exactly who belonged to who.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, I would say that's very, very fucking timely, right?
Yeah, so a friend posted that. the other day, and I was like, oh man, how spot on is that?
Yeah. Our
so,
robot overlords.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, just like, yeah, so even just going back to the record, like, it's a very introspective, personal thing, and I think it's good for people to, like, get back to their own humanity and, like, you know, remember you're not actually a cyborg with a phone attached to your body. Like, we haven't done that yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Pretty soon, though.
So do you, where can people get a hold of you? How can they hear your music?
Yeah.
Give us some stuff to plug here. That way people can listen and can check you out.
Yeah. So the website's almost done. RubenBidez.com. So it's RubenBidez.com. And so that'll be kind of like the jump off point for all the other stuff. But the songs will be getting released on iTunes, the iTunes Music, Spotify. I think even SoundCloud too. I kind of have all my hidden music on my Spotify privately.
Yeah.
But I'll start to release some stuff on SoundCloud. I have it all hidden on SoundCloud, but so soon that'll start popping up. Yeah, I mean that's RubenBidez.com. I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff.
Do you have any shows coming up?
Yeah, I think it's funny that I'm plugging technology after talking about not doing it.
We have to. It's part of the game.
I'll eventually have vinyl records, and people can listen on vinyl and without having to access the internet. How about that? I'll have CDs too. So if you have an old CD player, you can. You know, you don't need the internet for that. Sorry, what were you asking? Oh, shows coming up.
Yeah, shows.
So I have a show in, let's see, August 18th. Playing at the High Watt in Nashville. And then I actually have a New York show and an LA show coming up. New York is on the August 29th at Rockwood, and then September 6th I'm playing at Hotel Cafe in Los Angeles, and then the two, you know, I'm just going to tell you when the release shows are.
Yeah.
The release shows are going to be September 20th in Nashville and 21st in Atlanta.
Do you know where those shows are going to be at?
High Watt for the 20th and Vinyl in Atlanta on the 21st.
Awesome.
So I got some shows coming up. So
great, man.
If anybody's out there and wants to come, we put on a good show. Wyatt plays bass with me. A guy, Daniel Donato, plays guitar for me. He's a phenomenal young guitarist. And then my friend Travis Nunn plays drums. And Dustin Ransom, who's a killer multi-instrumentalist, plays keys with me. And we got harmonies and all kinds of stuff going on. So it's the live shows are really cool. The New York and LA show, it'd just be me and my 12-string guitar. So,
awesome.
But yeah, it's fun. I really like both types of shows, and they're very different. Like,
yeah, for sure.
When it's just me, I get to kind of be a little more fluid.
There's no one having to follow your changes.
No, exactly. Yeah, I can kind of stretch some notes out and kind of pick my set list as I go and stuff like that. Whereas the band shows, I think, are a little more raucous and
you have to keep it tighter.
Yeah, you keep it tighter, but I think like for the live shows, there's just like the volume's a little bit more, and we're playing a little bit louder, and just like energy levels a little higher. Like the record is definitely very listenable. Like it's there's no like I really wanted to create a record that like felt good, and like I think there's a time and a place for like feedback and dissonance and like those kind of like jarring sounds. But for this record, I really wanted to create something that like, and again, comes back to like humanity. I didn't want to like do industrial sounds. Yeah. Like it's a very natural
it's
sounding.
Rustic.
Yeah, it's rustic. It's classic sounding. And so like the live shows, we'll get 2 electric guitars going. And,
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's fun to see it in both forms, the solo and the band stuff. So, but yeah, I'm pumped to get out there and play it, and I'm pumped for this record to finally be out.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Well, once the record comes out,
Mm-hmm.
I can have you back on. We can do another podcast.
That'd
for
be
sure.
awesome.
I appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, dude.
I'm happy that I was able to kind of do it. And Wyatt, if you know Wyatt, just come on the podcast. That's how I guess I'm getting all my guests.
Yeah.
Right now, so. Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.